Okay, so first of all, we know if you have an exponent of 2, we call that a quadratic. And that's what we have right here. We have an exponent of 2, which tells me that this is a quadratic. Okay. Now, this is the controversial piece. Not really controversial. This is where different teaching styles come into play. When I went to Purdue a long time ago, my calc teacher told us to do a U substitution because that looks a little intimidating to factor with the signs and all of that in there. So what he told us to do at this point was to substitute a U in for sign. Okay? That way I can rewrite it as 2u squared minus 3u plus 1 equals 0, which tends to be a little friendlier looking than leaving it as 2 sine squared minus 3 sine theta plus 1. But that's optional. You do not have to do that. Okay. So now we got a factor. Cannot do a shortcut. So let me make my box. 2u squared goes here, and 1 goes here. Remember, this is A, B, C. Let's make our x. On top of the x, we have 2 times 1, which is 2. And on the bottom, we have a negative 3. So you need to tell me 2 numbers. And this is the only time I'm going to go through the steps to factor. This is something that you need to know how to do at this point. You need to tell me 2 numbers that multiply to be a positive 2, but add to negative 3. Negative 2 and negative 1. Good job. Negative 2 and negative 1. So that means that I can fill in these other 2 squares with a negative 2u and a negative 1u, or a negative u. Okay. So now we got to take out our GCFs. So when I'm looking at these 2, what can I take out that top row? What do they have in common? What's the greatest common factor? 2u. Let's take it out. What about the bottom row? You can only take out a 1, but I like to think of it's like people. Like there's a lot of life lessons in math. So because that 1 is hanging out with a negative 1, it's taking on the attitude of what it's closest to. So because this 1 is closest to a negative, it is also going to be negative. Okay. Now let's look at the first column. What can I take out of these 2? Sorry, I did not mean to do that. What can I take out of these 2? Can I take out another 2u? No, because I can't take a 2 out of a 1. But I can take out a plain old u. And what about the second column? What can I take out? A negative 1. Now, I'm not a big fan of the box method, but I'm going to just make sure we did this right. So when I multiply these, I get that. When I multiply these 2, I get this. When I multiply here, and then these 2. Okay, so now let's go ahead and set those equal to 0 and solve them. So if 2u minus 1 equals 0, I'm not going to show my steps. Go ahead and solve that. 2-step equation.
Can we do another one of these with different methods?
Absolutely. I forgot to mention that. Now, there are some, if you were in, did you take honors algebra too?
Yeah.
So if you were in honors, you probably learned a different way. Do that way. Do whatever way you want to do. I don't care. It's the same thing, period. So what did you get? U equals what? 1/2. Okay. And then I'm going to take the u minus 1 and set that equal to 0. kind of out of space. I'll write it down here. And I get u equals positive 1. All right, so now that we did all of that, we can put, what did we say u was equal to? Sine. So I'm going to put it back now. Now that I got it solved, I'm going to put it back. So what you need to do is tell me where on your unit circle is sine positive 1/2 and where on your unit circle is sine positive 1. So I'm looking for 3 answers. Let me zoom out a little bit. And it says you're going from 0 to 2 pi. Notice that we put a bracket on the 0, but a parentheses on 2 pi, which means that we're not going to use 2 pi. We're going to use 0. All right, so looking at your unit circle, let's start off with sine being 1/2. Where is sine equal to positive 1/2? So you should be looking in quadrants 1 and 2, right? So what's the first one? Pi over 6. And what's my next one? 5 pi over 6. And then lastly, where is sine positive 1? Pi over 2. And that would be my answers. We have 3 answers, and that is it. Any questions? So this is, 6th period. The problem 5th period is that, they forgot how to algebra. Like they forgot distribute and, like little bitty minor things. So you do have to go back and remember some algebra 1. All right, so let's look at, oops, wrong thing. All right, let's look at copying down this one. Go ahead and copy that one down. All right, did everybody get the quest review? Anybody need a copy? You good? Okay. I don't have the answer key for the quest review posted yet. It'll probably be posted Monday because we have tomorrow to review. We have Monday and Tuesday. Okay. So this was a quadratic. Again, because we got this exponent. Whenever you're solving a quadratic, what does it have to equal? 0. So the first thing I need to do, move that 1 on over. So I have 2 cosine squared theta plus cosine theta minus 1 equals 0. Now, it's optional, but I'm going to do another u substitution. I'm going to say u is cosine. So, again, you do not have to do this. You can just put cosine in the box. That's fine. All right, I'm going to give you a couple minutes. See if you can factor that on your own. How many of us remember how to factor?
Both A times C and B, so it's negative 2. Wait, oh, negative 1. Oh, okay.
And I don't remember the answer from fifth period, so I'm just looking. Don't pay no attention. Oh, y'all ain't gonna run my blood pressure up. And I don't remember the answer, I really don't.
And then you gotta figure out the negative 1. There you go.
I feel like one of these should be negative.
I think it's right here.
I think I know what happened. So what energy is this giving off? Positive or negative?
This one.
This. So this should be positive. Oh, so this is the negative one?
Yeah.
My bad, I didn't see that. I'm blind a little bit. Oh,
Negative 2. Yeah. You do A times C. A times
okay,
C.
that's
and
been,
B.
a lot of people got that answer, so I'm feeling kind of confident. You know, this.
Why is it called?
I know I did that too. I had to erase it. I got it. I had to erase it.
Wait, so that you gotta switch it to cosine then?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, y'all, let's go. It's okay. We gotta knock the cobwebs off of the algebra. We haven't used it in a long
So
time.
cosine is that.
Okay. So I'm gonna make my box. 2u squared goes here. Negative 1 goes here. So I need two numbers that multiply, because remember, it's always A times C. So that would be a negative 2 on the top. B is 1, that goes on the bottom. So what are the numbers that you came up that multiply to negative 2 but add to a 1? 2 negative 1, who got that? 2 negative 1, okay. So I got a positive 2u here, a negative 1u here. Okay. Top row, we could take out a u. Bottom row, only a 1. So I got u plus 1 equals 0. First answer I'm looking for is negative 1. The first column, I could take out a 2u. Second column, a negative 1. So 2u minus 1 equals 0. U equals positive 1/2. Okay. Now, what did we say u was in this question? Cosine. So now what I want you to do is tell me where on the unit circle is cosine negative 1 and where on the unit circle is cosine 1/2. And there should be two answers for the 1/2. So I'm looking for 3 answers. So what would be one of my answers? Where is cosine -1? Pi. Where is cosine +1/2? Pi over 3. And what else? Yeah. Okay. Who had those 3 angles? Wow, that's a lot of hands that went up. Okay, that's not bad for the first one by yourself. Wow, it's not bad. All right, let's look at the next one. Oh, sorry. You don't have to write this down yet, okay? But this is what I want you to write down. I want you to write down variations of the Pythagorean identity. So this comes from the Pythagorean theorem, which is why we call it the Pythagorean identity. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Or what we used to say, or what we have said, is X squared plus Y squared equals R squared. That's where this comes from. X is cosine, Y is sine, and the radius is 1. The unit circle, remember, if you look at the graph, it went up to a +1 down to a -1. That's where this comes from, okay? We're going to use this a lot. This is the first variation. Now, the second variation would be if I were to decide that I wanted to solve this equation for sine squared. If I want to get this by itself, how would I do that? I think I heard somebody say it. Yeah, I would have to subtract it from both sides, which would give me my second variation, which is sine squared x is equal to 1 minus cosine squared x. And it's important that you leave it in that order. So it's not cosine squared minus 1. It's 1 minus cosine squared. That's very, very important. And lastly, if I wanted to take equation A and solve it for cosine, then I would do what? Subtract what? 1 minus sine squared x. This is very, very, very important that you know this. A couple things I want to point out. This does not work if these are not squared. So what I mean by that is there is no such thing as just a regular sine equaling 1 minus cosine. That's not how that works. That's not a thing. That's not real. This only works when we're talking about has to be squared. All right, any questions? All right, we only got a couple more and we'll be finished. Go ahead and copy this one down. We got, I think, 3 more questions. I can't check like I normally could because my screen is looking weird. Okay, the first thing you should notice is this does not match. And what I mean by that is I have 2 different trig functions. That's not going to work. I have a cosine and I have a sine. Don't write this down, but this would be the same thing as saying 3x plus 3 equals 2y squared. We couldn't factor that, right? Because it has 2 different variables. Same thing. We need it to be one variable, which means that we're going to do a substitution. This is the only thing I can substitute out because it's squared. So I have 3 cosine theta plus 3 equals 2. Now start a parentheses. Let me go back to the last screen if it'll let me. I don't know. Hold on. It's just so weird. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. So I need to do a substitution for sine squared. It's like in my recipe, I don't have butter, so I'm going to swap it out with applesauce. All right, so sine squared, we can use this blue identity right here. What does sine squared equal? 1 minus cosine squared. So I'm going to write in that parentheses 1 minus cosine squared. Now, I only have a cosine. Does everybody see that? Okay, I know this is kind of rough. We'll get there. So I'm gonna do my u substitution at this point. I'm gonna take out the cosine, and I'm just going to say that u equals cosine. Okay, so let's go ahead and rewrite this so it looks a little bit more friendly. And you don't have to use the letter U, and I don't know why my professor used U, but I do remember he always used U. Okay, 3u plus 3 equals 2 times 1 minus u squared. Okay, what do I have to do? This is algebra. I know we don't remember, but what do you think I got to do first before I can factor it? Distribute. Okay, let's do that. So that'll give me 3u plus 3 equals 2 minus 2u squared. Okay, now, who wants to use the quadratic formula? Nobody, right? So, in order to avoid using the quadratic formula, the term that is squared has to be positive. This has to be a positive number. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these two to the left. All right, so I'm going to subtract 2 from its like term. And then, how do I bring that negative 2u squared over? Add it. So now we have a factorable situation. Go ahead and factor that down. Factor it and solve it. Okay, when you get your 2 solution, raise your hand and I'll see if you have the same solutions I came up with. So I could have subtracted the 3u and the 1, but that would have made that 2 still negative. If you leave 2 negative or the a term negative, you got to use the quadratic formula. And nobody wants to do all that. So let's just make sure we keep a positive. B can be negative, C can be negative, but A cannot be negative. All right, now that I actually did it and I know the answers, let me see what answers we end up with. Okay, good. You're on the right track. The one here. Then fill the other 2. Okay, that's good. You're remembering how to factor. Multiplies the 2, but adds the 3. There's right here, 3. Is it? Because there's a lot of different ways to factor. And a lot of times when I have kids that big go tight, they don't do this method, and that's fine. All right, I'm gonna go through it. Well, I'm not going through the method again. But I will show you. This looks good. That's right. I don't know what that is. You might have just fell asleep on that. Okay. So, this is what I got after I factored. If you don't remember how to factor, you need to jump on YouTube. Because we don't have time to talk about that in pre-calc, okay? It's like, I'm not going back through that. That's what I do in my other classes, not here. So if you don't know how to factor, I want you to type in, you can just type in anything, factoring quadratics, factoring with the area model. So most of you all who did it made it to -1/2 and -1, so that's good. So what did we say u was equal to again? Cosine. So where on the unit circle is cosine -1/2? And where on the unit circle is cosine -1? So it's -1/2. So Janiyah, what did you put for, where is cosine -1/2? Two pi over 3. And where else? One more. And 4 pi over 3. And hey, where is cosine -1? Pi. That would be your 3 answers. Okay. Let's hit the next one. Let's go. Now we don't have to do a shortcut. Wait. Now we can do a shortcut. Because A is 1. So we don't have to make a box. We can just do our simple method.
You don't have to do the box.
Okay. So this is what I want to make sure you understand. We cannot change this. Why can't I change this sign? Because what does it have to be? Sine squared. So we got to leave that one alone. But we can do something with this one. What did we say cosine squared equal? Look back at your 1 minus sine squared. So that's what I'm about to do. I'm going to replace this with 1 minus sine squared theta. That equals 2 sine theta plus 2. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do my u substitution. Now this time u is equal to sine. So I'll have 1 minus 2, no, sorry, not 2. 1 minus u squared equals 2u plus 2. So again, this term has to be positive. So I'm going to add the u squared, and I'm subtracting the 1. So this is going to move over and become negative. And now I'm subtracting 1. So that'll give me 0 equals a positive u squared plus 2u plus 1. No box needed because a is 1. So tell me the two numbers. What two numbers multiply to 1 and add to 2? There's only one thing that we can multiply to get 1. 1 times 1. So we got 1 times 1. So you see how we ended up with the same thing in both factors? That means we only have one solution. So if u plus 1 equals 0, u equals negative 1. What I mean, that means we're only looking on the unit circle for one thing, okay? Because it doesn't make sense to set both of those parentheses equal to 0 and write it twice. All right, now let me zoom back out. What did we say u was equal to? Sine. Let's put it back. Where on the unit circle is sine negative 1? And that would be your only answer. All right, we only got one more. We got to squeeze it in. We got about 8 minutes. It'll go fast. All right, go ahead, copy it on down. All right, I can't do anything with this. This has to stay. But what did we say cosine squared equaled? 1 minus sine squared. So I got a 2, make a parentheses, and in the parentheses put 1 minus sine squared. And that's going to equal 1 plus sine. Go ahead and distribute. Do you want to put the u in or leave it out? Who wants to put the u in? All right, let's put it in. So u equals sine. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we got 2 minus 2u squared equals 1 plus u. Okay. I need to bring everything over, so I'm subtracting the 2. And then this term, I have to add it and bring it right to the front. So what I'll have is 0 equals positive 2u squared plus u minus 1. And I just flip-flop these terms. So this would have been negative 1 plus u. But when we write our quadratic, it's always a, b, c. Okay, we got to make a box. Go through the steps one more time. Make your box. 2u squared goes here. Negative 1 will go here. I need two numbers that multiply to be a times c and add to give you b. Thumbs up when you know two numbers. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, anybody want to tell me the numbers? What's the numbers? 2 and negative 1. So I want you to put a positive 2u in one square and a negative 1u in the other. So we're ready to take out our GCFs. Okay, so first column, I could take out a 2u. First row, I could take out a 2u. Bottom row, I could take out a -1. So if 2u minus 1 equals 0, go ahead and solve that for u. Okay, back to our factoring. First column, I could take out a u. Second column, just a +1. So if u plus 1 equals 0, u equals -1. Okay, now we're going to put it back. What is u? Sine. Let's put it back. You tell me, where is sine? +1/2. And where is sine? -1. So for a +1/2, there's two answers. Pi/6. What's the other one? 5 pi/6. And where is sine -1? Sine, not cosine. 3 pi/2. All right, y'all. So tomorrow we are going to practice a little bit more. Make sure you come with homework 8 finished, so we can, practice what you don't know.